Hannah Hidalgo is the future and present of women's basketball. I don't say that lightly, and I'm going to explain why and have her tell you why as well. Locked on Women's Basketball starts now.
Ogunbowale for the win.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Well, hi there and happy Thursday. Welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'll give you a secret. We're recording this on Wednesday, but it is Thursday for purposes of the podcast, and I am delighted to be here joining you as we do 6 days a week. Thank you for showing up for us. Over 175,000 of you listening in last month alone, on track to beat that here in February, showing up, subscribing, listening every way you can. Of course, it is not just me. It is the entire team over at The Next, where we have over 100 reported pieces every month. TheNextHoops.com. Subscribe for $9 a month, $72 a year. And I'll tell you what you're going to get in your inbox, including all the WNBA breaking news, everything college, everything recruiting, everything international. You're going to keep getting a lot of Hannah Hidalgo stories because we keep sending them out because Hannah keeps doing things that we just haven't seen before. So we've got a lot to talk about. As those of you who have listened for a long time know, this is personal for me. Hannah is a Jersey product. She grew up about 5 minutes from where I grew up, Merchantville, New Jersey. I grew up in Cherry Hill, which is where the show comes from now. Hannah, it's a delight to see you succeeding in the way we all knew you would. I guess I want to start by asking you, through your origin story, as you're growing up here, as you're playing ball, when did you know you had a chance to not just be somebody who enjoyed basketball, but who could play it at a special level?
Yeah. So growing up, I was always in the gym with my dad, and my parents ended up putting me in a rec league with a whole bunch of boys, and so I was always playing against boys since I was younger. And at first, I didn't like basketball. I had no interest in it, just going up and down. But as I started, I was constantly in the gym, just working out over time, and then I really grew love for the game. And so when I was younger, and then they gave me a nickname, Buckets, when I was in the rec league, and so then that's when I feel like it really sparked that I really love the game.
So how old are you in that spot? When you get the nickname Buckets, how old are you?
Oh, so how maybe been like 5, maybe right before kindergarten.
Oh my gosh. So you said you didn't like it at first, but like pretty early on, of course, and having your father, Orlando, a fantastic coach, leading the charge for it, you kind of realize there by the time you're in grade school that this is a pathway for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing. And so you're growing up here, you are setting records. Again, for listeners at home, I know it sounds like it's overstating it when we're going to talk about some of these things. So I need you to understand the comparison. You got to high school, you were a 3-time South Jersey Player of the Year down here. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
3-time. When you are going up against some of the best players in the country every night, Jersey hoops is special.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like iron sharpens iron? Do you feel like playing here helped make you the player that you have become here already?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jersey, New York, Philly area, like we have this different type of grit, like a different type of dog. And I think just playing against that competition all my life has definitely prepared me for where I am at today.
I've read stories. We've heard stories. Everyone I talk to, my younger daughter plays basketball, and her coach, when I said, oh, we were going to talk, she said, well, you can just tell her she's the best player I've ever coached against. And that's what you keep on hearing, that people come, they see you play, and they say, well, I've seen something that I've never seen before. Was there a superlative, a compliment you heard from somebody early on where that really took you back? Either a person that you particularly respected or just, wow, I didn't think of myself in that way before.
Yeah, I think just like in high school is when I really started hearing like, I hope I won't miss you. Like before I was about to leave, like coaches would tell me like, it was tough playing against you all these 4 years, and I'm glad you're leaving, like stuff like that. And I was like, wow, like kind of the impact that I had, playing against these teams.
Paul VI has had a lot of great players. So the fact that you were the all-time leading scorer there is a very big deal. Again, New Jersey Gatorade Player of the Year. You go to the McDonald's All America game, and suddenly you have a chance to do it on a national stage as an individual player. We'll talk about what it meant for the national teams that you have starred on, but take me through what that experience was like. I know you ended up winning co-MVP honors with Juju Watkins. What did you learn about your game going to play there?
Yeah, I think especially with McDonald's, it was just all the top girls in the country just kind of competing against each other, and playing with these top girls and against them is just, it means a lot to be able to go out, especially with my size. People don't expect kids my size to be able to do what they do. So for me to be able to set the record for the highest points and tie the record for the most steals, I feel like it speaks on like how versatile I am and how I don't just play one side of the game. I play both sides, and I think that's really big.
I will, as a point of personal privilege, say you are putting that mildly. You are tops in the entire country as a freshman in steal percentage. As a freshman, it kind of blows my mind the way in which you get to that. We're going to talk a lot more about that in segment 2 and about the kind of season that you were putting up here. But I do wonder what the origin of that is. What is it that allows you to anticipate, to get into passing lanes, to get so many of your steals are live ball steals, which are, effectively pick sixes, given your speed and the way you finish at the rim. You were buckets at age 5. When did that start being part of your game?
I feel like my defense was always kind of what I took pride in. Obviously, when I was younger, I was like a lot smaller, so I didn't really do too much scoring because the girls were so much bigger than me. So I really took pride in my defense and getting stops and getting steals, and then dishing the ball out to my teammates. So I feel like I've always taken pride in my defense. And when I was younger, someone once told me that defense wins championships. So I kind of always stuck with that.
I mean, clearly it's won you a lot of games. And so you won U17 gold with Team USA. You won U19 gold with Team USA as well. Again, you were a critical part of both of these teams. What kind of an adjustment period is there to go play with the national team? And does it help you when you transition here to Notre Dame that you did it?
Wow, yeah. So USA, it's definitely different, and it was definitely an adjustment, especially U17, it being my first time playing for the USA team, and me having to play a role that I wasn't really used to playing, which was just like being more vocal and kind of running the team and getting everyone else open and not looking for my shot first. And I know in high school they need me to score, so I'm taking like all the shots, and then when I get to USA, I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of top players, so it's like I don't need to do all the scoring and I need to get everyone else involved. So it's definitely a lot different. And I know European basketball is also like a lot different. They're flashy and like
Sure.
it was different from what's over here. So I feel like playing for the USA, I feel like it helped me get faster. I know when I came back, I felt like I was in great shape, and the game is just different. You kind of see the game through a different lens and a different point of view. So it definitely helped me for when I came back here.
I would be remiss not to point out in your defense, you didn't take all the shots when you were in high school. You also averaged better than 5 assists per game. So we just, for the record, have always been elite at finding your teammates as well. So we're just going to get that out there and make sure everybody knows that you do it all. Before we get to our break and head into segment 2, where we're going to get nerdy and look at these numbers because they are remarkable, I just want you to take me through your recruiting process. Obviously, there were so many teams interested in coming and talking to you and having you on the team. Notre Dame, what was it? What was it about Coach Ivey that sold you on coming out to South Bend?
Yeah, so I'm a really big family person, so I love being around my family, and I really felt like I needed a home away from, my home in Jersey. And when I came on my visit, I really felt that, and I felt that everyone was genuine. And I know Coach Ivey, she was consistent throughout the whole process, and she treated me the same. And even to this day, she treats me like, I'm still being recruited, and she just shows me so much love. And so it's just been genuine, and that was really big for me.
When you made that decision to go, obviously you have this close-knit family. What was that like? What was that like leaving home? And again, same question as before. Was it easier to relocate having done so much travel? The fact that you were playing overseas on a number of occasions prior to this for Team USA.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely tough leaving home. I mean, it was the first time, obviously, like completely moving out, but not the first time leaving home. Obviously, I played with U17 and U19, so I was out for a month at a time. So it wasn't anything that was just crazy that I never experienced before. And I think USA definitely helped me get kind of like a taste of that, being away from my family so far. And I feel like going through adversity during USA and not having my parents, right there behind me, it was like it was helping me prepare for college, because now my parents aren't here with me. And if I go through adversity, then I have to lean on obviously God, of course, but also my teammates and my coaches and the people that are around me. So it was hard leaving home a little bit, but I was also excited for something new.
Well, friends, I can tell you it's worked out pretty well so far. So we're going to get into the numbers as to why that is right after our break. But first, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors today, and that is Nissan. The 2024 Nissan Road in particular. Amazing for city drives, great escapes, but you can also use class-exclusive Google built-in, always updating your assistant to call on for almost anything. You don't have to worry about connecting your phone, CarPlay, trying to figure out how to make it work. It's all built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Road is the future. It is here. It is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. You need something a little bigger, you can go with the Pathfinder. It has room up to 8 and expansive cargo capacity and advanced 4x4 capability. 284 horsepower, though, so you don't sacrifice performance for it. You can even get the Nissan Armada, which is going to change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury. Or you don't have to picture it. Go to your local Nissan dealership, take the Road, the Pathfinder, or the Armada for a test drive, and go find your next big adventure. Take a look at nissanusa.com. And we're back with Hannah Hidalgo in segment 2, talking about the fact that, gee, it's your first game. You are a freshman. You're overseas to boot. You're playing it in Paris, and you're playing it against Dawn Staley in South Carolina. What's going through your mind in that locker room ahead of that initial game out there? How do you get yourself ready?
Yeah, so I know it's consisted of a lot of prayer. I was just praying the whole time, just on the way to the gym, just asking God for peace, and just stepping out of the locker room and onto the court. I just felt so at ease. I wasn't nervous at all, and I was really just excited to play my first collegiate game. And obviously, I went out and things didn't go how we wanted it as a team, but I did a decent job. Of course, we wanted the victory, but I feel like coming out into the game, I wasn't nervous at all. I was really just excited to play with my teammates.
For those who didn't see it, first of all, I don't know what you are doing with your lives. You should have 31 points, 3 assists, 3 steals, 4 rebounds, just immediately a difference maker at both ends in a remarkable way. It's the type of thing that puts a spotlight on you immediately. You obviously thrive with the spotlight on you. Is it something you like? Is it something you enjoy? Or is it something that you more understand, hey, this goes with the territory?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good and a bad thing. I mean, it could be a curse and a blessing, because obviously there's a lot of eyes on you, so they're always watching. So if you do bad, somebody's always going to be ready to say something and critique you. And then if you're doing good, everybody loves you. So it really just depends on how you handle it. And I try not to get too deep into it, because it's always going to be something, and I really just want to focus on my game and not get too caught up in what the fans saying, who loves me and who doesn't.
Definitely. Don't worry about your mentions
Mhm.
ever. Never worry about your mentions for sure. But what you have done is, in a lot of ways, chart a course that is different than we've even seen from recent stardom. And so for benefit of our listeners, I just want people to understand, Hannah, what you have done, that you were looking at NIL deals before you got to college. This was, your stardom was sufficient that New Jersey essentially had to make a ruling on how you could do these things in that space before you got to college. And you just compare it. I'm struck and maybe this is a small thing in the grand scheme of things, right? But I am struck by the fact that just a few years ago, you couldn't get WNBA basketball cards. It was exceedingly difficult to get them. Now there are cards at the collegiate level. There are a range of Hannah Hidalgos. I was watching a stream a couple weeks ago and someone was like, oh yeah, I'm all in on Hannah Hidalgo cards, which is just something that people couldn't have done a few years ago. Caitlin Clark was a great freshman, but there were no Caitlin Clark cards back then. Well, that wasn't that long ago.
Mhm.
What do you think of this overall landscape, and how much of a challenge is it to try to navigate that along with what is, Notre Dame is a challenging school academically and to play basketball there at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to see how everything has grown and how players can now make money off of, their name and their image. So I think it's great how we can take advantage of, of everything, obviously, with all the work that we're putting in, that all the money that, us athletes are bringing in, and we should be able to make money, kind of off our own name. And so I
Correct.
think it's really big, and I love to see how the game has, evolved and is still evolving. So it's definitely big. And then playing, focusing on school and, NIL, it's especially for me, it's really important to, have an agent, and, my parents kind of handle kind of that whole side. And as for me, just keeping, who I am as a person, not altering and being somebody that I'm not, and just, on the court, just playing my game and, being who I am on and off the court. And obviously those deals will come, the people who are interested will, come in, and then my agents and my parents will kind of handle all that, and then just focus on basketball, who I am as a person, and then, the academics.
You seem so well grounded, and I'm sure that things seem to just, you take them as they come. But I do wonder, have you had a moment, a wow moment along the way? Maybe it was when you were signing. You can go on eBay and see it, you guys, Hannah Hidalgo autos that are selling for large sums of money, right? I mean, is there a moment that you've had like that where it's like sort of a welcome to stardom moment over this period
Yeah,
of time?
it still is like a wow, when everyone, they'll come up to me, fans will come up, and then they have like books of like all my cards, and then, they're asking me to sign, or asking me to sign basketballs and stuff like that, or taking pictures. I feel like can't believe it, even still, like to this day, even though they come up like after every game, and I feel like that's still a wow moment.
It is a very cool thing to see. To your point, it is so long overdue to have talented players being able to make money off of their own efforts for a very long time. It's great to see it finally happening. I have to get a little deeper and a little nerdier into the numbers. I mentioned 31 against South Carolina. A 30 spot is something that is just par for the course for you now. You've had 4 30-plus point performances. You followed up that game with 12 steals at NJIT. Just, is there a stat line you've put up where you sit there and say, wow, that's amazing? I'm looking at my post-game box score, and that one is a lot even for me.
Yeah, I think the 12 steals was definitely like the biggest one, because I'm like, wow, like 12 steals is double digit steals. I think that's that's super tough, because I haven't been able to get close to that, since. So I think that was the stat line. I was like, wow. Or maybe quadruple double watch. I think that one was like the next biggest one for me, because I'm like this close, but just not there.
But it's going to happen, right? I mean, in your mind, it's a matter of when, not if.
Believing in God. So yeah.
I am very eager to see those numbers. And then again, we have to point this out. You are doing this in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And this is not to take away from some of the other excellent basketball being played around the country, but there are 5 teams in the top 30 net ranking as we are talking today right now. Obviously, ACC up and down that conference is remarkably difficult. And I guess the only good news about the 5 teams in the top 30 in net rankings is you don't have to face one of them. Since you guys are number 8, you are actually tops in net ranking in the entire ACC. But just as you've gone against the challenge of the ACC, I'm curious, for instance, who's the toughest player you've had to face defensively?
Mm, that's tough. I feel like there's not one person that's like, wow. I feel like every team that we played against, I think each team competed and, I think they played well together as a team. I don't think it was one person that was like coming out here and dominating and putting like 50, 40 points on us. But I think every team that we play against, it's always a competition, and we never take any team lightly because at the end of the day, it's anybody's ball game. So we come out and, we kind of stick to the game plan and just play each team.
A lot more to come. I want to talk about the future, which is so bright in segment 3. Really excited to get back to it with Hannah Hidalgo. But first, excited to talk to you guys about our other sponsor today, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks has this new offer where you can turn $10 into $1,000. Here's how. You're looking for these things. They're called demons and goblins. They're either red demons or green goblins in different squares. If you select them and you get it right, you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Again, Prize Picks Daily Fantasy, it's the easiest, it's the biggest way to play daily fantasy. You're not going up against sharks. It's just you versus the projections between 2 and 6 players' stats. And again, you don't have to just play by yourself. You can be in the same league as rapper Meek Mill, comedian Andrew Schultz. Just go to the community plays tag and check it out. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA now and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit patch of up to $100. Again, that is prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA, code LockedOnNBA. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Prize Picks. Back here with Hannah Hidalgo, and as we head into segment 3, that question that comes up is, who is like you? There are always these comps that come in. So I've seen Skylar Diggins-Smith as a comp, which is obviously a great compliment. But Skylar scored well her freshman year. She did not score like you did. She was not having the defensive impact. I covered her as a freshman, so I know that you had there in year 1. We have frankly not seen a freshman pile up the steals like you are piling up literally in this century. It is not an exaggeration, dating back to 1998-99, which I remember, but a lot of people do not, I know yourself included. And so as you think through your game, the 2 parts are, what was your comp, your aim, your goal growing up? And where do you think it is now compared to who is out there?
Yeah, I think my goal growing up, I think it's just, I think my goal was just to have fun. I didn't have any expectations of, what to do. And obviously when I first started playing basketball, me and my parents kind of made a list of like what they wanted me to accomplish and, kind of what I wanted to accomplish. Obviously I didn't take basketball seriously. And I was just like, okay, mom and dad, just, whatever you say, I'll just do it for you guys. So we kind of had, just obviously go to college and have a full ride, score 1,000 points, player of the year, like stuff like that. And I feel like just small goals that I checked off, one by one. And obviously now my goals are just to grow. I feel like as a person, like on the court and off the court, just to grow as a leader and as a young woman, and obviously, of course, to win. Obviously, I want to win and just provide for my family, and just be a light to those who are struggling and stuff like that, and to be a person that kids can look up to.
You've talked about this opportunity to score 1,000 points. I'm going to go out on a limb. This is like a fearless prediction, a hot take, if you will. You're at 521 here in February of your freshman year. I feel pretty confident you're going to get to 1,000 in your career. So I'm going out there. I'm saying it right now. I'm putting myself on the line there. But you taught championship as well. And when we think about Notre Dame, obviously there is this rich history of winning championships.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use visualization? And if so, when you do, what does it look like to you when you think about that championship?
I feel like I don't think that far. I try not to look too far because I know it could be a lot, and especially a lot of pressure being a freshman and having to take on such a big role. I think my coaches do a great job of just constantly reminding me to take it, game by game, and take it day by day, practice by practice, and what God has for us, it'll come if it's there for us. So if a national championship is there in the future, then it'll come. But just being present now and just growing as of right now and not focusing so much on the future. Obviously, that's what we want to do, but just being in the moment right now.
Well, there have been a lot of moments already, many more to come. I am just saying to you ahead of time, I look forward to seeing you at the 2027 WNBA draft, but we'll be seeing each other a lot of times before that as Hannah Hidalgo continues to star for Notre Dame. Thank you for your time. To our listeners, thank you for making us your first listen every day. We will, of course, be back with you tomorrow, as we are 6 days a week. Until then, I am Howard Megdal, wishing all of you a wonderful Thursday.
Ogunbowale for the win. Good!
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.